Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. There's been an update on the Moira nerf situation on the PTR. Finally, someone from Blizzard responded on their official Overwatch forums and gave us some of the answers we were looking for. Basically, was it a bug or was it intentional? And as it turns out, it was kind of a little bit of both. So what ended up happening was Blizzard was trying to make it so that the lock-on for Moira was a little bit easier to control, because as it turned out, when there was a bunch of enemies in an area, if you were trying to lock onto a specific one, what would happen is the game would kind of get confused and it would either lock onto the wrong one or it just wouldn't lock on at all. Unfortunately, when they made this change, it had the side effect of breaking a bunch of the enemy hitboxes. So, like I showed in my previous videos, you could actually have your crosshair on an enemy and it simply wouldn't register it as a hit. So, over on the official forums, Tim Ford, who is a lead engineer for Blizzard Overwatch, made a message, and this is what it says. It says, "Hi everyone, we wanted to give you a heads up on what was happening with the targeting on Moira's Biotic Grasp. On the PTR, we made a number of improvements to the mechanism that Moira uses to select a target. Now players can more accurately select a target when multiple targets are in the field of view, which resolves issues like this." So I'm going to show you this little clip right here. This is what he gave an example. Basically, you can see that the game is kind of confused. It doesn't know which of the bots to target, and they wanted to fix that. They wanted to get rid of it. So continuing on, he says, "And the new system can better discern which target is closest to the player's reticle when multiple targets are valid. When we made this change, we did our best to make everything feel as close to her original system as possible. But since the new mechanism uses a different functionality, it didn't convert perfectly for a number of heroes. Generally, the larger heroes are a little harder to target, while the smaller heroes are much closer to her original behavior. The training bots also need to be adjusted, as they are by far the worst offender in the new system. Since it wasn't our intention to do anything but improve Moira's targeting, we're hoping to test a new configuration on the PTR either late this week or early next. Thank you so much for surfacing the issue for us. These reports are incredibly useful for us when it comes to tracking down bugs." So for any of these abilities in the game that have this kind of lock-on mechanism, there is a little bit of a leeway. Like, you don't have to have your crosshair exactly on the target in order to actually lock onto them. Obviously, if it's an enemy, a good example is going to be Symmetra with her attack. But for friendly stuff, you can think of like Mercy's healing and damage amplification beams, right? Or even, Zarya's bubble. Like, you don't have to perfectly target an ally in order to put the bubble on them. Same thing with Ana and the Nano Boost. In fact, they added that function in the options where you can kind of change that little slider and make it so that you have to be further away or closer to the target in order to actually use your friendly ability on them. Now, of course, they can't have that slider for an attack because then it just wouldn't work, right? I mean, some people would crank it all the way to the top so that way they don't even have to put their crosshair on someone in order to attack them. So they can't do that with the attacking abilities that have that kind of lock-on. So what they tried to do, and it was well intended, what they tried to do was they made it so that it was easier to pick the target out of the crowd, basically. So if you were trying to lock onto that Mercy who was near the Reinhardt, then you could actually lock onto the Mercy instead of the game being confused. Unfortunately, there was a bug. Now, all of this could have been avoided if they had simply put this stuff in the patch notes. If they had told us what they were doing, and if they had told us, hey, why don't we just change the system? Can you tell us if there's any problems with it? Can you test it for us? Can you let us know if you think it's better or worse? But they didn't do that. And again, this goes right back to one of the major problems with what Blizzard does with all of their patches and their updates and the PTR in general, is that they simply do not put the stuff that they changed in the patch notes. And it's really frustrating. So now the question is, once they get this new mechanism and this new targeting system working properly, is it actually still going to be a nerf? And yeah, it kinda is, because it means that you are going to have your crosshair closer to the target in order to start damaging them. So in that regard, yes, it is a kind of a little bit of a nerf, but at the same time, it's kind of also a buff. It's really weird, because now you can more correctly target what you want to target. So, like, yeah, you have to be more accurate, so it's a nerf, but you can actually hit the thing that you wanted to hit, so it's kind of a buff. So, I don't know. It's just, I think overall, it's probably going to make Moira better once they get this system working properly, and you don't have, like, these weird situations where your crosshair is on an enemy, and yet it's still not targeting them. So there you have it, guys. That's the update on the Moira nerf situation. What do you think? Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Also, do you think that all this entire situation could have been avoided if they had simply put it in the patch notes? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.